The few remaining residents of the Ukrainian city of Bakhmut are struggling to survive in the mists of the war. The front lines have not moved much in recent weeks, and Kyiv is hoping that new weapons promised by the West will tip the balance in its favour. On the Kherson front, Ukrainian soldiers train while searching for a new way to cross the Dnipro River without suffering excessive casualties. The newly elected Czech president, a former NATO general, is calling on Ukraine allies to do more. And now the question of sending fighter jets has entered the debate.
It's easy to sort of get carried away in, last week we gave tanks and what next can we promise? There are things to promise next and I've said in the Chamber of the House of Commons, I'm very open to examining all sorts of systems and not just jets to give Ukraine that assistance. But these things don't always happen overnight.
Meanwhile, Ukrainian authorities are cracking down on corruption within agencies managing funds intended to assist victims of war. In Odessa, several officials have been arrested for defrauding the state of nearly €175,000. Kyiv knows it needs to reassure donors that the money they give is going to the intended recipients.
A highly symbolic visit, showing off Europe's commitment to Ukraine. Ursula von der Leyen, the European Commission President, in Kiev, once again, meeting the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. But this time, she's not alone. No less than 15 European commissioners have joined her for various meetings with the Ukrainian government. All this despite the fact that the country's still at war. Meaning this gathering and these pictures will go down in history. But beyond the symbolism, President Zelensky wants the European Union to introduce more sanctions against Russia, as he thinks they're, quote, slowing down.
We will introduce, with our G7 partners, an additional price cap on Russian petroleum products. And by the 24th of February, exactly 1 year since the invasion started, we aim to have the 10th package of sanctions in place.
Also on the table, how to promote the integration of Ukraine into the EU. But Kiev's hope for quick membership was frustrated, as there's no agreements between member states for a fast-track procedure. They say more work must be done. Ukraine says it will continue fighting against corruption. While EU commissioners were meeting with Ukrainian ministers, the EU Foreign Affairs Chief, Joseph Borrell, was with the Prime Minister, promising to double the number of Ukrainian soldiers to be trained, as well as campaigning to deactivate mines. On Friday, the visit continues with an EU-Ukraine summit. Our Sasha Vacalini has more.
Ukrainian authorities insisted that the EU-Ukraine summit should take place here in Kyiv and not in Brussels. They wanted the delegation of senior EU officials to see how the country is operating, how they're introducing measures and requirements, whilst at the same time defending itself for almost 1 year now, something that Kyiv certainly believes deserves the EU membership. Sasha Vakulina, Euronews, Kyiv.
The Russian president laid a wreath to mark the 80th anniversary of the Soviet victory over the Nazis in the Battle of Stalingrad. Putin placed it below the Eternal Flame, which is part of the memorial complex in the city now known as Volgograd. He used his speech to draw parallels with the war in Ukraine.
Мы свои танки к их границам не посылаем, но у нас есть чем ответить. И применением бронетехники дело не закончится. Все должны это понимать.
The 5-month Battle of Stalingrad is regarded as the bloodiest battle in history, with an estimated 2 million soldiers and civilians dying. The Nazis razed most of the city to the ground before surrendering on the 2nd of February 1943. This was a major turning point in the Second World War, and the victory remains a source of great pride in modern Russia, a feeling the Kremlin wants to weaponize.
Kosovo has signalled that it's willing to create an association of 5 Serb-majority municipalities in the north of the country in order to unblock talks with Belgrade. Critics say it could give Serbia a permanent hand in Kosovo's politics, but it's a key part of a 2013 deal to eventually normalise relations between the two countries. Serbia's president, Aleksandar Vučić, has urged lawmakers in Belgrade to accept the diplomatic moves.
Would we become a European pariah? Yes, we would. Completely isolated. No one would talk to us. We would not have any access to funds. You cannot function in the modern world alone.
However, Serbian nationalists consider any move towards the recognition of Kosovo's independence unacceptable and have made their anger known to Vučić in parliament. Several dozen people also demonstrated in Belgrade against any political understanding being struck with Pristina.
Sitting in my driveway here in Billings, Montana, and right now there is a ground stop on our airport, and this thing is up in the sky, and I have no idea. This might just be the moon. It is not the moon. The moon is off to my right. I can see it. This is significantly smaller than the moon.
中国是负责任的国家，一贯严格遵守国际法，无意侵犯任何主权国家的领土和领空。关于这个气球的问题，刚刚我已经讲了，我们正在了解核实情况，希望双方能够共同冷静谨慎处理。
天科技集团计划安排超50次宇航发射任务，全面推进探月工程4。
请发射局所有人员迅速撤离。
Good to see you. See you, Tom. It's good to see you as well. Welcome. Thank you.
ضرورة عدم إزهاق أرواح الفلسطينيين والإسرائيليين على حد سواء.
To reduce tensions.